Hi everyone, good afternoon from my side. I am Juan Borges. I am a researcher at the University of Aveiro in Portugal, and I'm also currently the chair-elect at the International Younger Chemists Network. And I'm very pleased to welcome you to this webinar on leadership and your career. And we have really a great lineup of speakers, as you see here in this front slide. So we have Dr. Daniel-Florin Sava, coming from the University of Manchester in UK. You have Dr. Yalinu Poya from Glasgow International College in UK, as well as Mr. Juan Aponte-Santini from the University of Puerto Rico. And we'll be sharing their tips and advice on how to become a great leader throughout your career. Together with me, I have my colleague, Fan Fun, that will also be part of the webinar and discussion. So please, Fan, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. I'm Fan from Singapore. I'm the elected secretary of the International Younger Chemists Network here. So I work with Joanne and Gabi to organize this webinar here. I would like to first give thanks to the speakers and yourself, your audience, for all your time coming in to join us here as the speakers share about their experiences in their leadership and their career here. I hope that you'll find joy in hearing the inspiration, sharing the experiences, and we do hope that you ask questions here, posting into the chat group, just message us, and then later on, they will be moderating a panel session.
Thank you, Farman. Yeah. So please, while we go through the webinar, please raise your questions in the chat box. So we'll be reading them aloud during the panel discussion after the three talks. So for those of you that are not aware of the International Younger Chemists Network and how to join, what we are doing, so just a brief note on that. So we are an associated organization of the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry since 2017. So we are quite a young organization. And our vision is, of course, to connect and empower younger chemists at a global level. And our mission is to support and advocate for younger scientists working across all the fields of chemical science towards a globally sustainable future. So some of you might be wondering how you can join, how you can contribute to this network. And so you have here the link to the website. So basically, there are some eligibility criteria that we have to fit. If you have
Joel, to share screen.
Sorry.
It's okay. The screen slide's coming up.
Okay. Sorry for that. I think now you are able to see them, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry for that. So we already introduced the speakers. Thank you for the note. I was referring to the network. You have here the vision and the mission of the network, and how you can join us as a member. So there are some eligibility criteria. In brief, if you are doing your bachelor, master, or PhD across chemical science, you are able to become a member. Also, if you are younger than 35, you are also eligible. And even if you are over that, but you have, for instance, finished your postdoc within the last 5 years, you are also able to join the membership. If you enter in this membership form, you will see all of this information that I mentioned, together with the teams that you can join and so on. And if for any reason you have any doubts, please get in touch with us. You have here our email address that, of course, feel completely free to reach out to us. And please follow us via LinkedIn, Facebook, and also Twitter. We are quite active, and we disseminate several activities such as these workshops and the events that we have been organizing. As I mentioned, today we'll be having a webinar on leadership and your career, and this is another webinar of the series of webinars of ChemVoices. So ChemVoices is a partnership between IUPAC and IYCN, and we want to give a voice to early career chemists to discuss topics that are of interest to them, but also, of course, to the early career community all over the world. So we have a website, chemvoices.org, that you can please check in. You can see the previous webinars that we have been organizing. They are also available, the recording, on IUPAC YouTube channel. You can also see them. This one will be also later on uploaded in there. And this, of course, all the webinars, we show here some of the examples of some webinars that we run, such as the one on resilience, chemists beyond the bench, so alternative careers, foster innovation, full collaboration, and many more that you can check at, as I mentioned, at IUPAC YouTube channel. So this is the result of the effort of a great team. So you can see here all the people that have been contributing to this series, and we are really thankful to all of them for their invaluable support throughout these months since we start these webinars. And of course, we keep on going and organizing these webinars for the benefit of the early career community. So thank you very much to them. And now I will hand over to Funman that will guide from now the discussion and take over the slides. Please, Funman.
Right, thank you, Joel, for the very good introduction to IYCN, our organization. Let me just reset the room here for those of you who just came in here. Just check out our website, IYCN, and see you can join us to subscribe to our newsletter here. I would like to say that in the previous slide, Joel talked about our diversity of the ChemVoices volunteers here. Just like, we have a diversity there from all over the world here. And today we are very happy to have three speakers here. They are young leaders in the field here, right? From Romania, Papua New Guinea, and Puerto Rico here. So there's Daniel, Yalinu, and Juan. And later on, I will introduce more detail about each of their achievement here. Where did they come from? All right. Yeah. So today's topic is really about leadership and your career. And a message that you can take home today, right, for all of you here is that you are never too young to be a leader. Leadership is not about your age, right? It's not about you are. It's about the attitude here, and it's about the actions you can take, right, to be successful in your leadership, even if you're in the early stage of your career, right? So in the following hour or so here, you hear people who have experiences, even struggles here, right, to share their own background. How do they overcome and excel in leadership? And at the end, we'd like to hear from you, right? Some questions to ask the speakers to share more, right? We can ask you to unmute yourself and speak, but it'd be best if you can key in the questions first, right, into the chat so that we can prepare you later. So like you say that, right, there are stereotypes, and this is very common in the world here, especially to young people, right? They think that young people have no experiences or they lack the wisdom to be a leader, but we don't think it's true. And we show it in the IYCN here. In fact, our youngest member is 18 years old, and they're very, very driven. They organize many events, right, to support different kind of organization here to engender equity in science, in STEM education, right? So you hear from this this expert called L. Coleman, right? He talked about most people view leadership as a position who direct and guide and facilitate because of all the experiences, but that's not true here, right? And there's another expert, Ryan Cohen, who talk about young professionals, they tend to be looked down a bit less, more negatively, right, compared to those who are more seasoned because of the contrast effect that they have more experiences, right? But the thing is, in the next 1 hour, we'll talk about it. These are all young people here, and they have so much experiences. And how did they do that? It's be interesting to hear from them. So some little sharing that we put up with is like, no matter how young you are, which position you are in the institution or anywhere here, what can you do, to espouse some leadership here? If you are enthusiastic, if you bring energy, you bring hope and inspiration to people around you, right? It's about what you say, how you interact with people, be respectful, do good work, a cause that you believe in, right? And guide people who are younger, who just join the company, right? And if you see people who need help, just reach out to them. So, nothing in the world stop you from taking initiative to do new projects, right? You can always start first volunteer, and then you show good work, people give you more funding and go on there. And if given a chance to present, take charge, raise a hand, and it's not about, oh, I'm the youngest one there, but what you say, and if you believe it, people will know that you have the fire in you to really want to do it, right? And the other thing is to also ask for promotion. If you think you deserve it, right, collect the evidence and say that, because all this you have done here, I would like to have this responsibility. Could you give me a try? Okay, and always stay ahead of the game. Believe in yourself. So our first speaker today is Dr. Daniel-Florin, Sava, right? He's from Romania, but now he's in Manchester in the United Kingdom. Here he earned his PhD in chemistry in 2018 and received the President's Doctoral Scholars Award for his PhD thesis, right, in University of Manchester. Very good researcher and has extensive background in materials engineering, right, in chemistry, and he's specialized in more graphene, two-dimension materials. And right now he's the project manager and materials chemistry physics at the Innovation Factory at University of Manchester, UK. So besides all this good research that Daniel, right, earned his awards from, he's also a very strong supporter in other initiatives like how to help youth, right, in STEM volunteering, promote science communication here to share that science is fun, right, and interesting, and also teach and mentor young people. So with that, I hand over the floor to Dr. Daniel-Florin Sava. Daniel, over to you.
Okay, so thank you. Can everyone see me and hear me right?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. So I'm now going to share my screen, so I'll make sure I don't share different things. So please, can you let me know if you can see my screen?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Is it now okay? The full screen.
Good.
Okay. Okay. So first of all, I want to thank Zhao, Funman, and Gabi for the opportunity to talk today here. I'm quite young. I mean, quite young from my perspective, and I think I didn't feel necessarily at the beginning that I was, let's say, had enough experience to speak today. But I can share from my experiences and the few leadership activities I had throughout my journey, and I hope that some of you might actually learn something from it. So I'm quite of an engineering mind, so I like to structure things a lot. So before starting out, I will just show you how I've structured my presentation. So initially, I'm going to speak about my background, what I'm doing now, and what I've done in the past in terms professionally, and how my journey has been. Then I'm going to speak of a specific leadership example that I think is, in some sense, the most relevant one that I've had. I've had smaller ones, but I think this is the most relevant one I had, and it's about doing some voluntary chemistry teaching back when I was in Bucharest doing my bachelor and master's degree. And then at the end, I'm just going to show some key learning takeaways that I've had along my journey. So at the moment, as Funman mentioned, so I work at the University of Manchester Innovation Factory, which is nothing else than the technology transfer office that commercializes the inventions from the University of Manchester. Now we actually have a nice video here, and our strapline is that we put ideas to work. And the mission that we have at the Innovation Factory is that we want to commercialize the inventions and intellectual property from the University of Manchester to create social and economic impact. So we're looking at actually at how we can create impact with the inventions that academics disclose to us. So in terms of what I do in my role, I try to harvest new inventions from the University of Manchester. So I speak with different academics and try to see what they're doing, what they're working on, and how that can translate into something commercial. Or we can have academics coming to us and saying, look, I have something that I think has potential. And then what I do in my role as a project manager for materials chemistry and physics, I try to assess that, to look at the market. Is there any market potential for the invention? Is there anything out there that stops us from doing this? Are there any patents that are already in the space that kind of like make us not be possible to protect the IP? Are there anybody in this industry? What would people in the industry tell us? Is this something that they would need? Where would this fit in the process, and so on and so forth? So we look at the whole aspect of where different inventions and different technologies would fit in the industry. Before I joined the Innovation Factory, I've done my PhD in chemistry at the University of Manchester in inorganic chemistry with Professor Richard Penny, and I had some, let's say, 3 interesting and tough years, because I've had, in some sense, to swap fields from going from more of a materials chemistry side from my background in Bucharest, and then going directly into inorganic chemistry, which was a very steep learning curve for me at the beginning. But nevertheless, I still managed to kind of like learn a lot of new things in inorganic chemistry and try to finish the PhD. And whilst I was doing my PhD, I kind of figure out I don't necessarily want to stay in research that much. I didn't feel that it was the right fit for me, because I had a lot of interest in innovation and business and how science actually translates into the real world. And that's why when I finished, I was looking for jobs in this space, in the innovation and business and science space. And I mean, I have to say now, because probably people think like when you do a lot of things and maybe you have some awards, it's going to be easy to get a job. It was actually quite hard for me to get a job as well, having done the PhD in a field that was not necessarily directly applicable. So the research I've done was more, let's say, fundamental research. Prior to coming to the UK, I've done a bachelor and master's in materials side, and it was more of a chemical engineering diploma, let's say, and I've done that back in Romania. So I've, let's say, moved from Romania, which you can see here on the map, all the way to the northwest of the England in Manchester, and the journey's been quite interesting. I've learned a lot along the way, because my background, I come from a very small town in the western part of Romania. I grew up in kind of like a poor family. I didn't have necessarily many role models in science around me. So that's why kind of one of the reasons why I want to give as much as possible and speak to as many young people that come from different backgrounds and don't necessarily maybe have the opportunity to speak with people that have been through the journey in science and have done research, and to understand how all of it fit together. Now I'm going to speak a bit about the leadership example, because I don't want to spend so much time speaking about myself. So the leadership example that I've kind of like selected is as I said at the beginning, a voluntary chemistry teaching event that we organized and kind of like during my bachelor, and then extended into my master's back in Bucharest. And before I describe the experience, I want to say that, I mean, all of this activity and the impact that this activity has had would not have been possible without having the right context. And the right context means I had really great colleagues that were also very proactive, and they were willing to give up their time to help others, and they were involved in how the life of the students was happening within the faculty of chemistry. The timing was right. For some reason, in the year that I've started doing my bachelor, we were a lot of, let's say, a group of very enthusiastic students who had a passion for chemistry and who wanted to do good. And also, it was at the same time that we came after, let's say, a generation of students who were not so proactive. And that meant that we also had the support of the faculty and the professors within the faculty. Another thing that helped a lot within this experience is the fact that myself and a colleague of mine, we were elected as student representative in the faculty council. So we already knew people in the management of the faculty. We were able to discuss with them and to propose the idea to them. So what was this idea that I'm talking about is probably a bit obscure by now, but the idea that we had was, we've observed during our first year of undergrads that a lot of our colleagues that came to the faculty of chemistry did not have a good understanding, let's say, did not have the right basic knowledge of chemistry, physics and maths from high school. And even though they were trying hard to study at the faculty, because they didn't have that basic knowledge, it was very, very difficult for them. And what we thought was, like, what if we could just try and teach first year undergrads the basic elements of chemistry, physics and maths from high school. They should have learned in high school, in order to give them the foundation to build upon the new knowledge that they were supposed to get within the faculty. And we were probably naive at the beginning, trying to do things and speak with people. But the fact that, again, as I said, we were student representative and we had access to speak with the dean of the faculty and other members of the faculty management, actually they were quite enthusiastic about it. It didn't hurt them in any way, and they saw the need as well as us within the let's say the marks and the grades that the students were getting. So what I wanted to mention is that it all started by focusing on others, focusing on helping the others and do good, basically. And what actually has happened is that we've done this we've started doing chemistry, mathematics, and physics teachings. We did it every 2 weeks. It was quite a short, let's say, 7 weeks in total, short course of basic chemistry, physics, and math. I've done chemistry. One of my colleagues has done mathematics and another physics. And what we actually observed after the first year was that it had a tremendous impact on the student retention rate. So usually after the first year of undergrads within the faculty, we had 50% dropout rate. And what we actually managed to achieve is it decreased that dropout rate from 50% to 25%. So doing the math, we actually increased the student retention by 50%. Instead of having 50% of the students, sorry, to stay within the core study, we had 75% of them remaining in the second year, and so on. And it was, in some sense, it was a great achievement, and it's something that we felt really proud that we managed to help other people. And I now see students that I've taught basic chemistry and doing great things in the jobs that they have, and it's really, I don't know, in some sense, very proud. It's a really great moment to see how we can inspire from what others do. And just to make sure that I'm not making this more easier than it has been, we definitely had challenges. We had opposition from different professors saying, like, look, you shouldn't do this. They are not accredited to be professor at university level. They shouldn't do this, and they're going to take our students. They're not going to show to our classes anymore. So we had quite a lot of opposition. But again, because in some sense we knew people in the management of faculty, and we were, let's say, some of the best students in the faculty, they trusted us, and they offer us trust, and that's how we went. The story went on, so for several years. So we've did this for 3 years, year by year, all voluntary, until the 4th year that we some of the management of faculty got, let's say, funding to do this, and that remained. We got paid, and we did more extensive training. But after I left, and I think after the generations of students changed, unfortunately, because they got further funding, it was the professor that ended up doing the courses, not students anymore, which is a bit of a shame. But I mean, I guess I think that's how things go. And what I want to also show is what I've learned during those years, because I've had several other experience in leadership, and a lot of failures, I can say, a lot of failures where I've learned different things, and that's where I want to go now. And I've structured the takeaways in 3 bits. So the first bit is people. Yes, there's people. We're all people. Amazing things in the world are done by people, and there's 5 key things that I think are good advices. One of it is network. Yes, so we can't do great things alone. And there's an African proverb that I like a lot. I've actually heard it during a leadership seminar, and it said, like, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. And I truly believe this, and I see this in my job every single day. So I can't do much on my own. I depend on the legal department, I depend on the business development department, I depend on the academics doing the research. So I depend on all of people, and I think we can't achieve great things without working in a team and know people. And regarding network is also, it matters a lot who you know within your professional career and who you trust, because a lot of things are done based on trust. The second advice I have is be authentic, and that, what I mean by that, I know this might sound as a cliche, but what I mean by that is don't try to mirror somebody else. Don't try to be like somebody else is behaving. So just try to be your own thing. Be aware of your weaknesses. Be aware of your strengths, and try to be yourself. Yeah. And I think one of the books that I've read recently, and it's really shows how many defects and how many biases we have as people, is Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel-Florin. And it's definitely something I would check every single year, because it's a refresher to see how many, everybody has different biases, and the only way we can tackle them is by acknowledging them and go on from there. Another advice I have is you need to empathize with people, okay? You need to put yourself in other people's shoes. And one example I have here is that during my PhD, during the final weeks of my PhD, I was very annoyed with my PhD supervisor because he didn't give me enough feedback. I didn't feel like he was supportive enough. I had some bad experiments where I stayed until late at night to finish an experiment, and when I came back the other day, it failed. So I had a very miserable day, and I had one discussion with one of the experimental officers that told me, like, just put yourself in his shoes. He has a big group of, I don't know, 20, 30 PhD postdoc students that he has to think about. He has other priorities. He has to apply for grants. He has different priorities. So that was the way. And after thinking in that sense, I actually understood more of the things that happened around me. And there's another kind of like thing that I want to mention here is when you empathize, you also need to be culturally aware. And there's a book that I recommend here, which is The Culture Map by Erin Meyer, who describes a lot of differences between different cultures and how they work. Another aspect that I want to mention is you try to give as much as you can to other people, and also don't be afraid to ask. The worst thing that can happen when you ask is that you get no answer or you get a no. So don't be afraid to ask, and people actually more willing to help when you ask to help. And the last thing I want to mention here is that you need to watch your ego. I had maybe several kind of like situations where let's say I was more proud than I should have been. And there's, again, a great book that I definitely recommend on this topic. I'm conscious of time, I'll go faster through the other ones. The second thing I want to talk about is self-care and growth. So you can't be a good leader and you can't empower other people to do different things towards your vision if you don't take care of yourself. And what I mean by that, you need to sleep enough to make sure that you're productive. And there's another great book here that I recommend that shows the advantages of sleep. Exercise and eat healthy. And exercise has helped me a lot during my PhD to actually cope with all the stress, and it gave my mind off different things I've done. Again, it's all about habit, and I recommend this book here. I'm also, let's say, in some sense quite spiritual, so I'm Orthodox Christian, and I do truly, let's say, guide myself by the principles, but it doesn't have to be, I mean, it doesn't have to be the same for everybody. People have different religion, but I think it's in the end, it's all about community and people around you, and having some principles that will guide the whole of your life. And there's a thing that I watch a lot of the times when I have a down moment, and that's a wear sunscreen video. That's, I don't know, it keeps me on track when I had a bad day. And what I also say is be curious about people around you, be curious about different things that you like. I don't know, it can be science, it can be arts, it can be different things. Be curious is the only way you can actually grow. And the third thing for a good leader, I think, is vision. Dream big. Things always seem impossible until they're done. And it's a great quote by Nelson Mandela. Focus, you need to have a focus on where you want to go in the next 10 years, and don't spread yourself too much. I personally spread myself too much a lot of the time, and it didn't help me, but I learned from that. Again, I recommend a great book here. And the other thing is that persevere. When you try to dream big and do great things, people will say, "Oh, that's not possible. You can't do that." Persevere. Sometimes things don't come very easy. Even great companies are not built overnight. They build in several years. And again, I recommend another book here. And the last two things I want to mention is get comfortable with the uncomfortable, because you can only learn if you put yourself in uncomfortable situations. And the last advice is start now. Whatever you want to do, just start now. Every long journey starts with a step. And the way I want to finish is with this quote that I discovered recently, and I don't know, I resonate with it a lot. And I will just read it now. So, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. And this is a great quote by Theodore Roosevelt. Thank you for your attention. I know I've gone a bit over time, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Wow, thank you so much, Daniel. So Daniel, is very inspiring speech that you gave here, and we'll later on during the panel collate all the questions, right? And then we'll pitch it to you. All right? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, thank you. So now let's turn to the next speaker here. She's Dr. Yalinu Poya here, and please follow her Twitter, like follow other speakers as well here. Dr. Yalinu Poya earns her PhD in chemistry from the University of Glasgow, UK in 2020 here. She won lots of awards, but she's an expert in catalysis, for sustainability of ammonia production to feed the world here. And she received so many accolades here. She's really a leader and inspiring person. I met her in Paris in 2019 IUPAC. And just want to say she represents Papua New Guinea country representative for IYCN, and she's also a Plutonium Element Award by IUPAC in 2019. So, Yalinu, the floor is yours.
Hi, Funman. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Oh, okay. Funman is my good friend. I think I have a bit of technical difficulties with my slides, so I think they must have forwarded it. Oh, thank you so much. If I could just maybe do this, and then you can go next. This gesture. So thank you so very much, everybody. I am truly, truly honored to be here. As mentioned, my name is Dr. Yalinu Poya, and I come from the beautiful Pacific Island nation of Papua New Guinea. And thank you so much for having me for this seminar. I myself, I do not consider myself as a leader, but I consider myself as somebody who likes to serve, and to be called to be presenting, it is truly an honor. Go to the next slide. Okay, just a bit of background. I just want to highlight a bit of where I come from. So I come from Papua New Guinea. So where is Papua New Guinea, you might ask? Papua New Guinea is located in the Pacific Islands. It's a little bit north of Australia, and it's very wonderful. And I recommend you to visit whenever this pandemic thing blows over. Then you are welcome to come home to my country. Right, now just a bit of background about chemistry in the Pacific. Now, chemistry in the Pacific, it needs to be developed even more, because in the Pacific Islands, we are mainly focused on the major subjects such as law, business courses, medicine, and so forth. But when you look into the natural and physical sciences, including chemistry, it needs a little bit more attention. We need to groom more of our Pacific Islands people, especially our young boys and girls, into becoming fully fledged scientists. So it needs more funding. We need to develop more sciences into area-specific branches. We need exposure on real-world applications, and also awareness on career opportunities. Now, people do not see many career opportunities in chemistry in general, so I'm just being realistic here, because of the lack of science and technology development in the Pacific. When I was 10 years old, I told my dad, I said, "Dad, I want to be a scientist." And my dad's response was, "What are you going to work as? Are there any jobs that are available?" So as a child, while growing up in the Pacific Islands in Papua New Guinea, I looked back at myself and I thought to myself that I have an interest in chemistry, but the thing is that there's not much awareness of chemistry in the islands growing up. And at the same time too, as the previous speaker, Daniel, mentioned, I didn't see much role models in the STEM field in general, not only in chemistry. So it was a bit of, I was caught up in a bit of confusion as to if should I pursue chemistry or perhaps become a medical doctor or become a lawyer. But chemistry was my strength, and it was something that I was passionate about. So I still proceeded on to study chemistry with the support of my parents, even though we didn't have much awareness of chemistry in the Pacific Islands. Now, as I mentioned before, Pacific Islands, just in general, is a place that is full of developing countries. So the areas in the Pacific that are mostly focused on in general is health, infrastructure. Our governments may mainly focus on economy, policy, and of course, education. But when you look into education, they're mainly focused on the big areas of education, such as engineering. You've got law, you've got your social sciences, businesses, medicine. Then you've got your natural and physical sciences. Even though they are practiced, we do have universities that teach chemistry. However, it needs more emphasis. We need to build up more scientists from my side of the world. Now, there is hope for chemistry in the Pacific. So Pacific Islands scientists are making their mark around the world. There are much STEM awareness and exposure that is sparking interest in people of all ages. One thing is that a lot of Pacific Islands countries, even my country as well, it's a male-dominated society. So women have not much branched into the field of chemistry or sciences in general, but as time is progressing on, we are seeing more women taking interest into science and streaming into science courses in chemistry. Chemistry is becoming a particular popular subject among women, so it is something that is a good situation that is happening in the Pacific currently. Now, with that being said, let me just give a bit of background for my education. Now, I did my bachelor's at the University of Papua New Guinea. I was a Bachelor of Science majoring in chemistry. Then I moved on to the Northeast Normal University, which is in the People's Republic of China. I studied in a city called Changchun. It was a wonderful city where I did my Master's of Science in Inorganic Chemistry with a focus in catalysis. And then straight from there, I came across to the University of Glasgow, where I did my PhD in chemistry for catalysis. So I'm a bit cultured, especially in the sense of education. I'm having to travel from one part of the world to the other, and now I'm in another side of the world. So it has been quite a journey with my educational background. Now, as I started my presentation, I gave a brief background of where I come from, and you have seen specifically what are the needs for chemistry in the Pacific and how things are going on in my country. So when I go back home to Papua New Guinea, I try to encourage or motivate the younger generation to stream into the field of chemistry. Now, I personally, I do not see myself as a leader. I just see myself as somebody who likes to serve. So I do as much as I can in my power to help encourage, motivate the young ones to branch into chemistry. And at the same time, to being a representative for Papua New Guinea in the International Younger Chemists Network, it has given me a wonderful platform. Prior to that, I have been doing many activities, and now even as a country representative, it has given me it has boosted my morale into reaching out and doing more in the Pacific. So when I was thinking to myself, reflecting back on where I come from, how life has been, my journey as a scientist, how it has not been easy. As the previous speaker mentioned before, you will face plenty problems. There's a lot of things that would arise that would be drawbacks, but it's always important that you must encourage yourself. And a lot of times these activities or things that you will be taking part in, you have to do things from your own initiative. No one's going to tell you what to do. You would sacrifice a lot of your own personal time, you will sacrifice a lot of your own personal resources, and you yourself would be reflecting on how you can impact the ones that are coming after you, because you know what life is like as growing up in the Pacific Islands and in Papua New Guinea, and from a developing country and moving into the developing world. You have seen how things have developed more in the field of STEM and chemistry. You want to bring something back home, or perhaps motivate someone, at least just change person, then you know that you have it's a fulfilling. So I personally reflected on myself, and I thought that growing up, I didn't have any role models. There was nobody that I could look up to. So how can I myself be an agent of change? So I focused mainly on things. First of all, to lead in STEM or education initiatives. Secondly, to volunteer in STEM activities as much as possible. Thirdly, to do mentoring or motivational talks to students. This is a variety of students. They can be in primary school, secondary school, high school, even those that are undergoing their bachelor's, and even some adults as well who are interested in going back to school. And then overall, just to be a STEM role model. So basically, I try to do as much as I can to influence as much as possible. So just a few of my STEM or education initiatives. So a lot of these things, I did it myself as volunteer work, just to give back to my community back in Papua New Guinea. You can see there is a picture towards the left-hand side. I was given the opportunity to cut open the ribbon to open 2 new classrooms. Back in when I was much younger, I was the chairwoman of a fundraising committee for a local school. So we collected enough funds, of which we were able to build 2 new classrooms for the students. So this is a education initiative of which I've taken on just to help back in my community. Another thing is that I do some volunteering teaching whenever I go back home to Papua New Guinea for holidays. The picture in the middle is meeting the Indian High Commission to Papua New Guinea, where I was privileged. It was actually quite a big honor to meet them and to be in the presence of them to undergo the MOU signing for new projects for between the governments of India and the University of Technology in Papua New Guinea. And towards the right-hand side, I acted as a volunteer co-host for a think tank quiz for students in primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions. This is just some initiatives that we're trying to, encourage the youths to be doing extra activities apart from being in school, to take part in these wonderful quizzes or activities that would help them to boost their education. I do a lot of volunteer STEM activities. So I'm currently still a UK STEM ambassador at the University of Glasgow. I was part of the chemistry outreach group, of which we took part in different STEM festivals, science festivals, chemistry activities. So we did a lot of educational activities, giving back to the community, especially to those that were in primary school, to encourage them and to tell them that chemistry is something that is interested in, is something that is fun. A lot of students, they always like to go for the big four. I would say mainly they would like to venture into either being a lawyer or some course in business, or maybe in medicine or in engineering. But as we encourage the younger ones that are coming up, we tell them that there are more interesting courses or subjects of which you can undertake. There's a big world out there, and chemistry plays a big role. So this is some volunteer STEM activities that I take part in, using my own personal time and resources as well. Another thing that I do personally to encourage more students or even more younger people to get involved in chemistry or even STEM subjects in general is to do mentoring and motivational talks. I visit schools. I have one-to-one sessions with people just to tell them about my different struggles, how I came from where I was to where I am just now. A lot of time people, they just see your successes. They don't really know how much you have struggled or the different setbacks that you go through. So it is always important to give a pep talk or mentor somebody, encourage them, because growing up in Papua New Guinea, as I mentioned, I didn't have any role models at all. I didn't have anybody sit me down and talk me through of my interest in chemistry. There was nobody out there. So I had to encourage myself. I had to move on with my life and think that perhaps there is something that is greater out there for me in the field of chemistry. So you don't get much encouragement or much role models back at home. So it's always good to go back and give motivational talks. So you can see that towards the left-hand side, I was privileged to be given the opportunity to speak as a person of interest, of which I spoke to young students over the radio, NBC Morbe FM, just to encourage them to, stay away from the different social problems that we face, such as gang violences or drug abuse, and to, stick into school. They even asked me to give a talk on chemistry, the different fields of chemistry, of which I covered inorganic chemistry, organic chemistry, physical chemistry. I just gave them a whole broad range of topics as well, just to expand their mind, expand the horizon, to see that there's more things out there. I was given the opportunity to speak on STEM research, Pacific Morning's interview, of which I did the same thing as well. I just gave a talk about my research. I've taken part in many different education and chemistry outreach activities, speaking to over 800 students, and just being a positive figure, especially being somebody's somebody's mentor. That was what I normally do, and even now I still do. As I'm here in the Glasgow, I reach out to people here and there, or if they seek advice for probably applying for scholarships or different forms of funding, or how do they branch from doing a bachelor's to a subject-specific course in master's. I'm always open to be speaking to people to mentor and give encouragement to what to do in their chemistry careers. Finally, last thing is to be a STEM role model. As I mentioned, I grew up from a I had a fairly ordinary childhood growing up in Papua New Guinea. As I mentioned, I didn't have many role models. I didn't have anybody to give me pep talks, but I thought to myself that if I could influence a generation back at home, or even people around me, or even some small child growing up in a developing country where we don't have much, if I can influence them, then I know that at least I have done my part. Okay, I've done my part to raise up future scientists, you know, through talks or through encouragement. So I try to be the very best that I can. So during my short time as a postgraduate student, I have been trying my absolute best, apart from doing my PhD at the same time, which was absolutely crazy. It had a great toll on my mental and physical health. And then on top of that, all the volunteer STEM work, I had to go the extra mile to try to be the best that I can. So throughout my time, I've been very blessed with a lot of awards, joining professional bodies, having honorable mention by different chemical society. I was named as the 2020 University of Glasgow Future World Changer. I even had the opportunity to meet and discuss my my work with different international diplomats. I had the opportunity to meet at the Scottish Parliament meeting where I presented my work to members of Parliament, and I had plaudits from veterans as well from the United States White House. So when I look back at where I come from, which is a small Pacific Island nation in Papua New Guinea, and how far I have come, and tried to make a mark in the world of chemistry. So other small boys and girls in the Pacific Islands, and not only them, but in developing nations where we don't have much growing up, this has been quite, it is quite overwhelming, because I try to influence as much people as possible to let them know that nothing is impossible. It only takes dedication, perseverance, hard work, and at the same time to self-encouragement as well, because a lot of times you wouldn't have life easy. You would have many things coming at you on top of your studies, your schoolwork, but it's always good to be positive, to have a positive mindset. I even had the opportunity to be at the panel discussion at the Ministry of Research and Education in Berlin, Germany, of which I spoke on how we can create smart policies between policymakers and sector and the digital when we're looking into green chemistry. During my personal time, I do a lot of podcasts of which I speak about catalysis research to many different high schools. So it's basically a lot of volunteering work that I do to try to encourage as many people as possible to head on over to the field of chemistry. Now, a lot of these things have had quite a good impact. Going into doing a lot of volunteering STEM work. I've done a lot of volunteering STEM work, and this has, I would say this has given me much exposure as well. In my personal side, I have had the opportunity to meet Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth at a garden party, which was something that I did not expect. But when you step out there and when you try to make a change, try to make a difference, somebody is watching. It's not only the people that you are trying to influence, but it can be somebody, from a position of authority. I didn't expect to meet Her Majesty the Queen, but it was wonderful. I couldn't take a proper selfie, so I had to take one, which is something in the middle. So it's quite funny, but at least I took a selfie with the Queen, and I got to meet Scotland's First Minister. So it is quite rewarding to be a servant, because you don't know who is watching you. Because the world has become much smaller due to social media. So one of its perks, I would say, for my volunteering work was having the opportunity to meet Her Majesty the Queen Elizabeth. So this is basically it, a little overview of my journey and how I try my best to be a leader in chemistry. Thank you so very much for listening. You can follow me on Twitter, or if you'd like to know some more, you can send me an email. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them in the end. Thank you. Thank you, Fun Man. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yalinu, Poya, for sharing. It is so inspiring there. We hear about a lot of servant leadership here. So to all of you who is here, right, what I gather is, to be a leader, serve first, all right? So yeah, we'll get the questions in the panel session. So for now, let me introduce the next speaker. Joa, if you can put the slides, please, thank you. Our next speaker is Mr. Juan Aponte-Santini. Okay, so Juan is doing his PhD in chemistry, right, from University of Puerto Rico in Rio Piedras campus, right? And he served on the chair of the Younger Chemists Committee of ACS, American Chemical Society, YCC rep for Puerto Rico, and a member at the national level here. And I want to highlight that, right, Hugh, you know, although young, or how we say young, he's one of the future leaders in the science funded program, right? That Gabriella, one of the moderator here, and myself are also delighted to be in here, and sits a lot of the committee about young leadership here to act for the LGBTQ plus symposium, and lots of awards he has won. So I'd like to give the floor to Juan to share a bit on your leadership journey. Juan, over to you.
Oh, thank you very much. So let's share this over here. Now you can see my presentation, right?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So thank you very much for this invitation, and hello everyone. I want to thank all the organizing committee for IYCN, and it's a privilege to be here today and sharing a little bit about myself, and also how of the different things that I have been learning about my journey in different kind of community service and different kind of aspects into my life. So first of all, I'm from Puerto Rico originally, and it's a little island, but most of it I'm from the center of the island that has been very difficult for me to do some transitions. Now I'm living in Florida, USA, so I have been moving a lot, looking for different journeys and different pathways. I started in the University of Puerto Rico doing a bachelor in chemistry. Then I moved forward to do a PhD in organic chemistry, but also to incorporate two things that I love the most was organic synthesis and also chemistry education. Those parts are the most important things in there. But in Puerto Rico, we got the student chapter from the ACS that have given me the pleasure to work with them and also to acquire different kind of aspects that has been helping me a lot into my development as a leader, as you say. So there are different kind of leadership and organization around us. There are leadership behaviors and practices, and also there's some different things that we got to account into the different organizational level. So everybody is important in every organization. So if you think that you are not, you are important, even if you are just starting in an organization or maybe a project or maybe to have a symposium, etc. So everybody can contribute. There are different diverse environments into the organizations or maybe the activities. There are quite established organizations, like I can say IUPAC, ACS. That is the one that I have been working on for more than 20 years. And also I started with the Puerto Rico Science Technology Trust that I'm doing some STEM facilitator work in there. But also there are some kind of things that you can start off from scratch. So you need to organize and to lead the way. And that is my chemist desk is a blog that I started after Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. So just to encourage people and also do some kind of things incorporating chemistry, but also to lead the way to future generation to give them some advice and help them into different kind of aspects because we were having hard things in Puerto Rico, including the hurricane, earthquakes, and we got to animate all the people in there. We got to start. I want to share that some of the things that we're gonna talk in there is the strategic planning that we can have. That we have a mission, a vision, and core values. Most of the time, those are the guidance into different kind of aspects that we're going to do. But also, we got to see what people need and what do the society need to focus our goals, our challenges and opportunities, and to see how we can make some strategies to do so, and also measure if it worked or if it didn't, so we can have a better achievement into the future. So the leadership and career stages, they have different stages, and it depends where you are. Maybe in your career, you're an apprentice, or maybe in the leadership, you're in a higher level. But you can kind of converge each one of them. when you're an apprentice, you're just starting, and also that happened to me and also to different people, that when you start something, you feel like you don't know nothing. But at most time that you start working on in different groups, different tasks, you can be more independent and learn a lot of the different kind of aspects that surround that kind of society or organization entity. Even if you can get into a managerial position that is a high level, so you can see like an overall of everything. But you have some people that is very important, that you as a leader, you can start leading different kind of pathways, but also you have to encourage other people that are coming behind you. So there is like a cycle in the different kind of organization. There are pathfinders and visionaries that are the ones that are looking forward to have like kind of the control of all the situation, but they need all the different kind of positions or stages and the people that are working on those stages to help them go on. So everybody is very important, even in the ACF, IUPAC, there are organizations that are really big ones, but you can extrapolate this kind of learning to different kind of aspects. So I have been in different leadership roles and different kind of activities that have helped me a lot. And when I was hearing the last presentation, I was wondering because as a student from the center of the island of Puerto Rico, I would never imagined even being here talking to you into the internet to different kind of different parts of the world, or maybe to advocate for the chemistry in different kind of the states or societies. So every single step that you have is grateful and it will help you a lot, even if you have some barriers. Like for myself, so Spanish is my main language, so talking in English was kind of difficult at the beginning, but then as soon as I get into the university and different kind of activities and exposure, it helped me a lot with that. So we got over here different activities that I was leading of them. When I was in the laboratory, I was the chemical engineering officer and also the design technician and research trainer for the undergrad students. Those kind of lead things, they got like different roles, they got different kind of rule books that you have to follow. So you don't have that much to work on instead of or just showing the other people or teaching other people how to do the things and keep things going. But on the other side, I got very involved into the Younger Chemist Committee since the beginning of my journey. And one of the most important things that I got from there was the exposure, the networking, and to have different kind of activities that I can reach to other people and help them into their professions or maybe into achieving different goals that they have. First, I was in the governance, interfering and outreach, where I was involved into the awards. And most of the time, what we did in there was to evaluate different kind of awardees and to see the different kind of aspects. Into my perspective in there as a Latin American, I was doing an outreach because of different kind of person that in the world should get these awards. And that was my input into this Younger Chemist Committee, and also to develop some kind of rubrics so that it can be more achievable for everyone. Then I moved into the membership engagement where there was an international president lead, and also I was doing some international network. And it was grateful to start my journey there, but I was finishing my years in the YCC. But I worked with IYCN and JAO in doing a symposium, a virtual symposium at the beginning of the pandemic. And it was grateful to share and to collaborate and to do those kind of networking that helped me a lot as a leader and also to share to other people the different kind of aspects. Also, as mentioned before, I was a Science Foundation future leader, and there is a lot that you can contribute. Even when I was just an undergrad graduate student in there, because we were sharing different kind of aspects and our input to the science founder and the CAS, different kind of modalities in there. And our input was taken into consideration for future products and even for different kind of things that were developed in the future. So everything that you can share with the people, don't underestimate yourself, it's very important. So there are different building blocks of capabilities. There are different kind of things of ourselves that are very important into this leadership role. Is our character. It's very important how who we are and to know yourself and the things that you can bring up to the table. You got the personal capabilities that are your skills and the things that you have learned throughout the years. And those are very important because are the ones that will make you stand out even in your work or maybe into different kind of societies. You have to focus in results and in the results, and that is we want to achieve different kind of goals. It depends on what is your goal, your final goal. Even to have this a kind of symposium today or this presentation today to lead to other leaders. So those are the kind of things that you have to think about when you are doing this kind of leading thing. So there are interpersonal skills, and most of that is that you have to share your knowledge. Don't be ashamed of who you are or what you have on the table. Everybody has something valuable, and getting those interpersonal skills and sharing your knowledge is very important. So it goes back and forward, and you can learn a lot from other people as they can learn from you. And also you have to lead an organization as change. Sometimes the times are changing, like this pandemic changes a lot. So we have to move forward and lead change and see other things that we can do to stay focused and to keep moving forward. So for extraordinary performance, what I can say, there is a power of convergence. And I learned this as an undergrad student, and it resonates a lot in my mind when I'm doing different kind of things. Because there are organizational needs, there are different kind of aspects that we have to work on that we need as a society. But also you have to see what you can bring to the table that are your competences. But one thing that is very important and that helped me a lot into my voluntary experiences is the passion that you can bring to the different activities that you do. When you work with passion, it's like a lot from your heart. So it's not that hard to do it. You do it because you love to do it. You do it because you love to share your knowledge with other people. Or maybe the thing that I love the most is to share my knowledge of chemistry or maybe different kind of things to younger generations and to kids. So you serve like a role model to them for the future, or maybe you can spark the light into their career. You never know what you can bring from them. So it's very important to have this kind of aspect. And when you have those three in convergence, there is a power in there for doing an extraordinary performance and you be an extraordinary leader. So the leadership development, you have different kind of aspects that you can grow on. Self-development is to look forward to different kind of things that can help you in your skills, and maybe you can learn a little bit more. Like was said before, reading of books, maybe watching these seminars, looking for different organizations, and to see what they can bring or they can share with you. As you can see, IYCN, they have a lot of programs. They got different YouTube videos. They got different kind of things that I have shared with people. So maybe you can see that and learn from the people that is in a step that is a little bit far from you, but maybe you can get in there. You can see role models or mentors and look for them. You don't know everything and nobody knows everything. So asking for people for guidance that have helped me a lot into my career and also into my different kind of aspect in learning, because sometimes you feel like you don't know anything, but if you ask people and you ask for guidance, they should be helping you, and they are actually giving you the expertise that they have into your hands. You have to build your strength, and I learned this from one workshop that I was on. When you have your strength, you have to focus on them, and you got to enhance them and build on them, and to see how you can achieve more with those strengths that you have. Maybe you have different changes into the different kind of experiences that you have in your life. But building your strengths will give you the best opportunity to show up and to share with the world what you have. There is a powerful combination in competences. You have to combine most of them to do a great job. But more important is to also explore new pathways. Don't be shy or maybe you're scared because everybody is scared of change sometimes. But exploring new pathway can give you new skills or maybe different kind of projects or maybe opportunities that you can never imagine by yourself. Like for me, it was great to work with the YCC. I just started as an associate, then as a member, and even I got to be a representation in the different kind of entities, IUPAC, or maybe in um, different kind of places in the world that I was talking about different kind of aspect and how we can learn, what can teach to them into different kind of YCC strategies that they were performing. There is greatness, but also there is no absence of weakness. So everybody got a weakness, even it can be chocolate, it can be ice cream, it can be pizza, but everybody got a weakness. And those are the things that we can sometimes we can change. So that's why we have to focus on our strength. And then if you got something that is kind of medium, you can try to work on that and make it a strength. And your weakness would try to avoid them or maybe to enhance them. But you have to focus first on what you are good at. But you have to avoid fatal flaws that are the things that doesn't resonate with the leaders. You have to be honorable and trustful so people can trust you and can help you into the different kind of things. Also, there are people or persons that they see their personal gain over organizational need. As was said before about the ego. You have to be very aware of that and not looking forward just to have your gain. You have to look forward for a community gain and to see what is the best for everybody in the community, in the society, or in the world. Um, there is some people they see mistakes as an inability to learn, but you have to see them as a way to learn and to see a positive impact in your life to make another way or maybe set some other goals and see where you're having this kind of aspect that you can change. You have to get some interpersonal skill and willingness to accept new ideas. It's very important to learn from others and to listen to others because sometimes we got some ideas, but others they got better ideas than ours, or maybe we can converge and we can do a better idea together. So that is very important. You have to be very, very responsible with the things that you got. And you have to have initiative. If you lack initiative, sometimes it's kind of difficult to move on and move forward. So there are great leaders with great difference. There are some of the people that they tend to act alone, and sometimes when people act alone, sometimes they get burnout and they don't get that leadership role well. But you can see leadership as a team, and different kind of people they can bring up different kind of skills, and they can share into a commonwealth for everyone. So for me, one of the things that I love the most is to do community outreach and to share the chemistry. That was when I was in Puerto Rico when they do the Festival of Química. And what they do is we share different kind of aspects and different kind of chemistry demonstration, but also to guide them into being future scientists. So how do you measure a good leader and who is not? You got to be an evolving nature of leadership. You have to evolve, even step by step. But you have to take into account that as a leader, you have to work with different constituents. That is people with different values, with different generations, and maybe the generation from my parents is different from me, and is different from my nephew. So you have to work with different kind of aspects depending on what you're working on. the motives, and also what different skills different people can bring to the table. For example, in this, that is what we do. As you see, some people they are making demonstrations. Some of them they were involved into the decoration with the chemistry team. Others were in the preparation for the different chemistry demonstration. And as a team together and as a leader, we account that we made the goal that it was to share to the public and to help them into the outreach event. So it's very important also you as a leader to motivate and inspire the frontline. So sometimes uh, some people they or we all need some thumbs up when we do the things. So high performance from the people they got motivated when we see their mission values and the pride to be involved in different kind of things with the recognition and celebration when they do things right and also when we achieve different kind of goals and also evaluating the process metrics. Sometimes we don't get a good value for what we're doing, but we can see the positive things and see how we can improve to do different kind of achievement, including the individual achievement that everybody can bring to the table. And also we can stay together into an interpersonal spirit so we can see as an entrepreneur and see the aspect and we can give some recognition to those people that are working hard to make things done. So it's very important to do that and also for the volunteers. So who decides those who are good leaders? It's not you. You can say that you're the best, but you have to see your companions of leadership effectiveness and to see how things are achieved and how you are seeing achieve different kind of things, but also your emotional personality characteristic that help a lot of the people. And most important is the best value that you can get is you can see some people that they value what you're doing and giving even a hug or maybe shaking a hand, good work or good job or making those that are in your teamwork that they say that you are a great leader. Those are the kind of things that are the most valuable in this thing. Maybe sometimes it can be transformed into different kind of awards that you get, or maybe into different kind of promotion, or any kind of activity that can enhance yourself and also your skills. So those are the different kind of things that can help you as a leader. So thank you very much for your attention, and I'm glad to hear from you. And to if you have any question, I'm here for you.
Thank you, Juan, for this sharing your lots of experiences in your journey. Appreciate it. And to people here, let me reset the room here. Right now, we are having the panel discussions. Today's is about leadership and your career, and we received a number of questions, so we will take it as they come in here. Right. Right now, myself and Gabriela, we are moderating this discussion for the questions here. And Gabi, would you like to take us through the first question?
Sure. So thank you very much, Daniel, Juan, and Yalinu. And we have the first question is, I find that service leadership was a thing for the three of you. Can I ask, do you find that all leadership ultimately is or should be a form of service? Maybe we could start with you, Juan, since you were the last one sharing your journey.
Right. I just typed in the questions for the speakers here. If you may open up your webcam, that'd be very helpful. Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying
now,
to put the cam over here.
Yeah. So Daniel, you want to take this?
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I can answer. So my view is that even though not maybe all leadership is about service, is all about is about solving a need. So be it business or I don't know volunteering or leadership within university, it's all about solving a need. So what problem are you actually solving? What are you doing? What are you trying to achieve? What's the end goal? I think so. If you if you think about it, and I can give an example from the business perspective because I'm working more on this side at the moment. I think from all the new startups that exist, I think 70% of them fail because they are actually not solving a need for a customer. So unless you're you're solving a problem for somebody, or you're helping someone in some way that they actually need, there's nothing to lead about. I mean, you can try and spend money on doing different things, or try to do a lot of spend a lot of time to do a lot of things, but if there's if the core is not solving a need or solving a problem, I don't think it will work. Okay, that's my view.
Yeah, what I can say is that it depends on how you do it. You can get different kind of skills, and maybe you can show different kind of pathway. Because when you're doing like the leadership thing in your work, or maybe into a task that you have to do because it's your job, uh, you just follow some guidelines. But when you do like community service, it's kind of different. You got different kind of outreach events, or maybe you can get different kind of venues. It doesn't mean that they converge, but sometimes you are doing some kind of volunteer work, and they ask about your career and how you become a leader into your job. But it depends on where you are.
Yeah, Yalinu. So this is a question from a young person from South Korea. So they find that, yeah, your team about servant leadership, Yalinu. Yeah. Oh, I can't hear you. Yeah.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So to be honest, I don't see myself as a leader. As I mentioned, I made it clear at the beginning. I just saw myself as somebody who just liked to help. But then people identified me as a leader. So I would say personally, it's just me giving my services, just to, help those that are coming up behind me, or those that are they need, some form of direction. That is just what I am doing. But I don't see myself as a leader in general. But it's just me. I'm doing my voluntary work, which was the things that I do. It's mainly focused on volunteering my time, my resources, just to help somebody. It's just selfless. But yes, you can see it as a form of service leadership. But again, I would agree with what Juan and Daniel have mentioned. I think Juan mentioned something along the line that's saying that it depends on what you are doing. If it's just voluntary, then you can see that as service leadership, as how I am working in. But if it's somebody, if you're being paid for it, if you're employed to go out and do STEM awarenesses, or do all these activities, then it's something that you would state as leadership. So if you look at leadership, of course, there's many different aspects to it, but I think it varies. It varies with different people.
All right. Thank you for sharing. I think, Gabi, there's one more question, right? You want to read it out?
Yes, we have another question. I think Dr. Juan shared quite interesting points about being a great leader, but I am also interested in the entry level into the leadership circle. What do you think are the most important qualities a leader should have, minimally? So maybe we can start with Daniel.
This is such a hard question. I think the key point I would say is that nobody's born a leader. I mean, maybe some people are more social than others, or more charismatic than others, but you can learn everything. Nothing is I don't know. Nobody is born by being a great leader and being great at public speaking and being great at presenting or being great at doing different things. It's all about learning. And I think the only key point I would mention is what I mentioned at the end of my slide, is like, start with the first step, start doing something, just take action. If there's anything that you are passionate about, or if there's anything you want to try, just try and do it. I mean, you might do it badly, poorly. I've certainly done a lot of stupid mistakes at my end along the journey, and I've learned from them, but you can't go anywhere without just go and do it. I think that's my key point.
Yeah, and I can say I agree that a leader is not born, and maybe like for me, I was very shy, and I still shy. But as soon as I get into different kind of experiences, it helped me a lot into overcoming those kind of weakness that I can call. But also, you have to have interest in what you are doing, and that's what Yalinu was saying about giving the volunteer. And sometimes you don't see that as a leader, but it's because you are giving your passion in there in your work, and you don't see it as a leader. You just see it as something that is from your hand giving away to everybody.
Yeah, I agree with what both Juan and Daniel said. I think you aren't born a leader, but if you can be like, for me, for example, I was just one of the many students in Papua New Guinea, just a small girl growing up in Papua New Guinea, but I just saw that there was a need, you know, I had a vision. I said that perhaps maybe one day if I become successful, then I can always go back home to encourage others. So there's a vision, and then you know, there's a passion, and then you see there's a need in the community, and then that is where you become motivated yourself, and then you just go back and you just help those that you can need. That's basically it.
Okay. Oh, actually, I have a question for all of you here. Because you know we get inspired by your story here. I'd like to ask, what are some challenges set back right in your leadership journey, and how do you bounce back from them? Maybe Daniel start first.
Yeah, I get to start with the hard questions. So what I would say is definitely everybody can have rough days, and you just have to accept we're all humans at the end of the day. We all have bad days. I don't know, maybe somebody that's close to us is sick, or maybe you have a bad experience, or maybe things just go wrong, because they will, I think. And it's okay, and it's okay to feel I don't know, down for a few days. At the end of the day, it's just we can't help. I mean, I've had days when I've been, I know, very upset for a few days in a row, but then I just think like, okay, this is how it is. I can only change, I cannot change what has happened to me. The only thing I can change is what I do and how I react to it. And I think that's a kind of like a guiding principle I have. As I mean, okay, this is the situation that I have now. It's not a good situation, and I also always think that no matter how low you are, I think you can always find examples where people have suffered more than you, or they've been in a worse situation. So that's how I kind of like bounce back, is I see that there's worse scenarios than the ones I am in, and I'm kind of like aware of the fact that I can only influence what I do from now on, and those are the two things that kind of like help me.
Yeah, there are some days that you can control what you're doing, and what I can say is that a good leader is also the people that can delegate the job. And I can talk about myself when I had bad days, including what I was talking about the hurricane. That was anything that I can control. Maybe pass away of some family members. So what I did in those cases is that I tried to reach to my team and also to seek some guidance. Or maybe you can call to a supervisor, anybody that is uh, behind the shoulders and keeping you the motivation and to see how they can help you. There is everybody, there is some people over there that they can help you into different kind of aspects, even in emotional ways, or maybe you just need somebody just to talk, to rush it out, and to keep going and keep moving forward.
Yalinu?
Yes,
Yes.
I agree with what Daniel and Juan said. So they basically covered everything. But one thing I would like to point out is one setback in leadership is probably the stress and even lack of time. So sometimes, you know, especially if you're doing service leadership, you know, a lot of things are voluntary, and you've got events coming up, people are looking up to you, blowing up your email saying when are you going to be, you know, doing this and that, everything. And then you've got your own things going on, you know, for example, juggling a PhD or juggling studies, or maybe you have a full-time job. It can be quite stressful. This is one of the things that I would say a setback as being a leader, because a lot of people will be counting on you and they'll be looking to you for direction. So time management is actually something that is quite important. You know, you always have to manage your time. You still have your own work to do, but at the same time too, you know, the initiatives or different projects or things that are going on at the same time. So time management is one thing that is quite important, and if you don't manage your time well, it can be a setback as well in being a leader.
Right. Thank you. So as a follow-up question, right, for for all the speakers here, I hear that, right? Yes, we're all leaders, and we have failures before, and setbacks is very natural. But then, as you know, leaders also has a group of people, right? To support the leadership team and followers as well. When the leader is down, when the team experience failure as a whole, how do you as leaders rally your people? When the spirit is so down. Anybody? Like Daniel talk about, you can tell yourself, there are people going through, but how do you share this with people, inspire them?
I think one thing to mention is that I mentioned in the presentation, one thing is be authentic, like show, because sometimes people have the impression that a leader is somebody that's always strong, that doesn't have any bad moments, that everything works perfect for him, and it's not okay. I think just show your human nature, show that you have limits as well, and show that you have struggles as well, maybe with family or I don't know, any other things, to show that you're human in one sense. And then I think it's all driven by the vision. So I think a leader is the one that's capable as showing his vision to other people, and that's the way he motivates. If you always focus on the vision that you have, and that vision might be, I don't know, developing better medicines for people, or developing the awareness of inequality in the world, or that, like the lack of diversity in different things. So taking into account the vision that you have and always focusing on that, I think it's the way you motivate people. And again, accepting that people might have a bad day, people might have their own circumstances, and just go from there. I mean, nothing is perfect. I think everything is just dealing with things as they come, and try to focus on the vision to motivate the people.
Yes, most of the time, what I think is I try to modulate just thinking about sitting there when they are, and just focusing on me as myself into my own age, and how I got different mentors, and that they were encouraging me to do the leadership roles, or maybe do different kind of career pathway. So I try to transmit that kind of joy that I got into the different kind of things that I do, and to share with them, and the different kind of things that I can get from them. Not everything is good. Sometimes we got bad days, but I'm the kind of person that try to look for the optimistic side. So you can learn from everything, from mistakes, from bad days, even if you're crying, or or you're stressed out, you can learn from that.
Yeah. Just to add on, Daniel and Juan covered everything. If of course you have your own group of which you are the leader, and you are trying to motivate them, and you yourself as a leader, you're also a human being. You'll be stressed, you'll be down, and all that. But sometimes, when you want to, of course you can encourage yourself. But after all, we are human beings, and we are social beings. We need to tell somebody our problems. So sometimes, instead of talking amongst your group, you can talk to somebody else outside. For me, I find comfort telling my mother about my problems, or telling another close friend. So it's good to de-stress. Sometimes take a small break. Just tell your group members, let's just we can meet tomorrow to discuss. Just take an afternoon to yourself, regroup, and then later on you can get back again, and then you'd find that different solutions, or some things that have been drilled back, you can try to change the direction of how things will be going at that time. So it's always important to remind yourself that you're a human being. Try to relax, talk to somebody to de-stress, and then you can get back again after some time, when you leave it alone for a little bit. Yeah.
Thanks for the advice. Now, Gabi, do you have any last questions for our speakers?
Yes, I have a last question. Do you have any additional resources or initiatives that you think will help early career chemists to develop their leadership skills?
Any online resources?
What I would mention is not a resource, but it's one of the things I found very useful. So with trying to find opportunities and develop yourself a lot, what I tend to do a lot, and I've done before, and it's been very helpful, is follow people. So follow people on LinkedIn that you look up at. So for example, I know I've tried a few times to get into the Sci-Fi and Future Leaders program. I didn't actually get it, but I know some people here on the call actually got in. It's quite good, and I started following people like that on LinkedIn, and see what other stuff they have done, and other people that have participated in different programs that I know about, and I can mention a few now. So I can mention BSF International Summer Course, a great opportunity. Rush Continents, but for that I need to be prepared. Just look at companies. The companies always have different programs. Just be open for opportunity, and seek them. And yeah, following people is a good one, because you can see what they post and what they do, and be inspired.
I think that Google can be very friendly there. So you can search for whatever you want into Google and you can get different kind of aspects. I can talk about IYCN. They got great workshops. And also I can talk about the ACS part. I say the one that I work on the most. So they have different kind of courses. Sometimes they are free for everyone. So, and now because of the pandemic, they're over there and you can get those aspects and also to broaden your network. And that will help you a lot. And ask for guidance as much as you can because the more that you do, the more that you can achieve into different kind of connection, different kind of things that you want.
Yes. I agree with both Daniel and Juan. You can follow people. One thing is that there are major chemical societies like the American Chemical Society or Royal Society of Chemistry. They put a lot of programs. So right now, the one advantage about the pandemic is a lot of things that are online are free. So you can always sign up for them and follow these different pages on LinkedIn or especially Twitter. Twitter is actually quite big just now. So you can follow them on Twitter and you can see what opportunities are available and then you can sign up on them. Or when things cool down a little bit with the pandemic, once everybody gets vaccinated, they might present some opportunities at some events, of which of course you can always register and sign up. But apart from that, the speakers are actually amazing people. You can follow them as well to see the different initiatives. I follow Dr. Funman, so I see what he's up to, and this inspires me a lot. He's done a lot in so this also gives me some ideas that perhaps when I go back home to Papua New Guinea or even around here in Glasgow, I can see some of his initiatives, these ideas that they do, and then take them on myself. So you get inspired by people around you using social media tools.
Thank you all speakers. And with Gabi, right, we come to the end of these panel sessions here. So now I pass the floor to Joel. Joel,
thank you very much, Funman. And yes, thank you very much to all the speakers. So Yalinu, Daniel, and Juan. So very nice tips. Thank you very much for sharing your background, your leadership journey. So it was really, really very great. I'm sure that all the attendees enjoyed this webinar. I want also, of course, to thank Funman and Gabi for leading up this within this webinar. It was really great. And also, of course, all the team behind ChemVoices within IYCN and IUPAC. They have been really invaluable players in running these webinars. So I would like also to thank the attendees for coming and joining us in this webinar. I would like to mention that this has been recorded, this webinar, so we'll upload it later on to IUPAC YouTube channel. So if you want to rewatch it or share it with your friends that couldn't attend this, so would be very pleased to do so. Please do so. And of course, please follow us. So within the chemvoices.org website, you can get to know the next webinar that will be coming up in the next months, as well as if you want to discuss any other matter within the IYCN, so please email us at IYCN@IUPAC.org. We'll be very pleased to hear from you. With this, so I would like to close this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you. See you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.